Hello my fellow gamers and welcome to a gameplay and features overview of Skid Cities. This game is a real throwback to SimCity 4 but in a fresh cyberpunk sci-fi setting. My name is Peter and I will try to showcase everything you get to play in this game as well as explain its core gameplay mechanics and features. Do note that this version I am playing here is from early access and more features are being added constantly. The sole developer behind this game is hard at work on improving performance, adding features, zones, buildings, new gameplay mechanics and more. Currently you can play the tutorial, several career missions and in sandbox mode. In case you want to see more indie games like this and their gameplay and features, I will leave a link up here and below to a playlist full of such videos. So as I mentioned in the intro, this is a Cyberpunk City Building game, but believe me, this is not the feature you will be most fascinated by, but by its verticality. Not only can you build on the ground, but you can build in the air and underground, and on multiple levels in both, going down even for 100 levels. To be able to follow the growth and development of your city and the people in it, you will have more than a dozen graphs and information layers at your fingertips. You can see the desirability for different zones, but also everything from crime to androids. The graphs will help you understand what you need more or less of and what buildings to add. When you max out a zoned building to level 4, its maximum at the moment, it becomes a foundation for the layer above it. You can also place your own foundations if you do not wish to wait for the building to upgrade to its maximum level. But when you want to build underground, all you need is to lower the roads one level, create an access shaft, and you're ready to build on a whole new underground layer. When you go up, you can actually have sky roads, which require no support because cars will fly in this game, just like in Fifth Element or Blade Runner. At first glance, the space for a new city might look smaller than you would expect, but when you start to multiply this space with the underground and above ground layers, you end up being awed by the sheer size of the city you can build in this game. Right now these dreams might escape you because the game has some performance issues with massive cities, but I have seen players make cities with over 1 million population, so in this instance I'm going to reserve judgment as this performance issue seems more limited in scope and not all players have it. The developer has assured me that this is being worked on, and so in the future you should have no trouble building multi-million population cities in this game. But let us go back to the features this game offers. Beyond the zone buildings being upgradable, there are multiple zone types and wealth levels. You have the poor zones, the regular factories, but also the rich people's homes and corporate offices. Naturally, each have their specific requirements for growth and upgrading. Poor citizens need augmentation stations because they simply cannot beat the android workforce unless they have their upgraded arms, eyes and even brains. They also produce unrest and crime, so there are specific buildings to deal with these. More on this a bit later. The rich citizens share the poor citizens' need for water, but they also want access to nature parks, helicopters and android house help. The factories require mines, while the corporate offices need an airport and even a rocket ship port to level up. Besides water, you have to manage waste, unrest, crime, rogue androids, organized crime and dissent. For each of these there are specialized buildings which have a growing cost but also a growing range of influence and strength. This is where the puzzle gameplay really starts to kick in. These and also the buildings required to level up each zone type give off a squared influence range, and everything is squared in this game, so do not expect any curved roads here. It is in this complex overlay of police drone stations and eye augmentation stations that the difficulty is at. Figuring out the best layout of zones and ploppable buildings requires trial and error as well as actually achieving population and other milestones to unlock them in the first place. There are also some things you won't expect, like the fact that level 4 buildings of rich citizens grow their own trees and produce their own water. Also, that water is carried up by the foundations to the next layer up. In Skid Cities, criminals are shuttled off into underground jails, and then there are the companies and crime syndicates who take root in your city once it becomes a fertile ground which matches their expectations. These conditions are especially created when you pass certain laws. For example, if you legalize addiction, then organized crime will take root in your city and expand its reach. Each law costs to implement and to keep it running, and it has both positive and negative effects. So while you might use a law to reduce crime, you will increase unrest. One thing I found lacking in this version of the game are the city's sounds. There are the layer specific sounds like wind on the sky levels and water dripping in the underground ones, but the city itself doesn't have really that sound to it. The music on the other hand is solid and fits the game setting. One feature which makes up for this are SimCity-like city news bulletins which inform you of current affairs, new developments and unlocks and tell you which crime syndicate or corporation wants to expand in your city. You can also read all the latest news about Android rebellions or dissidents blowing up your buildings. If you want to try and manage everything in this game with a tight fist, you will start to see your utopia rating go down and your dystopia rating go up. There are really no penalties for this, it is just your choice and it depends on the buildings you add to the city and what the situation is in it. You can pause the game, of course, speed up the time, but you can also turn the time from day to sunset and night. There is a really handy option to switch the view from buildings to zones so you can more easily see other buildings and roads in this urban vertical jungle. There is also a cool drone camera view in which you can take screenshots of your cyberpunk dystopia or utopia. I want to thank the developer on the preview access opportunity and I hope you will at least wishlist this game. Link is in the description. Thank you for watching and I wish you all happy gaming.